The champagne flute trembles in Marcus's hand. As Vivian Ashford's fingers trace the edge of a Monet's gilded frame, her touch reverent, possessive, she moves through her private gallery like smoke through silk. 63 years of living, etched into every confident step, every knowing glance. "You're staring," she says without turning round, her voice carrying that familiar hint of amusement that makes his pulse quicken. The evening light from the floor-to-ceiling windows catches the silver threading through her dark hair, transforming her into something luminous, untouchable. "I'm studying," Marcus replies, setting his glass on the marble console with deliberate care. At 32, he's conquered boardrooms and built empires, but in her presence, he feels like a student again. "You said art teaches us patience." Vivian turns then, and the smile playing at her lips could launch 1,000 ships. Patience, yes, but also when to act. She moves closer, close enough that he catches her signature scent, jasmine and something darker, more mysterious. "Tell me, Marcus, what do you see when you look at that painting?" He forces himself to focus on the canvas, though every fiber of his being wants to study her instead. The way her silk blouse skims her collarbones, how her fingers, adorned with vintage rings, gesture like a conductor commanding an invisible orchestra. Water lilies, light dancing on water, beauty captured in a moment. That should have been fleeting, should have been. She steps beside him, close enough that her shoulder nearly brushes his arm, but the artist made it eternal. That's power, don't you think? Taking something beautiful and making it last forever. The words hang between them, loaded with meaning he's not sure he's ready to understand. For 3 months, she's been teaching him about art, about culture, about the refined tastes that money alone can't buy. But tonight feels different. Tonight, the air between them crackles with something unnamed. "You have good instincts," she continues, moving to another piece of sculpture that seems to writhe with passionate energy. "Most men your age see dollar signs when they look at art. You see story, emotion. Maybe I had a good teacher." She laughs, a sound like aged wine poured over velvet. "Flattery. Marcus, I thought I'd taught you better than that." He turns to face her fully, studying the elegant line of her neck, the way she holds herself like royalty who's never questioned their right to rule. It's not flattery if it's true. For a moment, something shifts in her expression. The mask of sophisticated amusement slips, and he glimpses something raw underneath. Hunger, perhaps, or recognition of his own. "You're dangerous," she says, quietly, and he's not sure if it's a warning or an invitation. "So are you." The admission slips out before he can stop it. She raises an eyebrow, and he sees the moment she decides to let it pass for now. "Come," she says, gliding toward a painting he hasn't seen before, draped in silk. "I want to show you something special, something I don't share with just anyone." His heart hammers as he follows. Everything about Vivian is curated, intentional. If she's showing him something private, it means something. It means everything. She pauses before the covered canvas, her hand resting on the silk. "Art is about vulnerability, Marcus, about revealing pieces of your soul and trusting others to handle them with care." Her eyes find his, and he feels exposed, as if she can see straight through him. "Are you ready for that kind of intimacy?" The question hangs in the perfumed air between them. Outside, the city sparkles like scattered diamonds. But in this moment, the entire world has narrowed to this room, this woman, this choice. Yes, he breathes, though he's not entirely sure what he's agreeing to. Her smile is slow, predatory, beautiful. "Then let me show you what desire looks like when an artist isn't afraid to paint the truth." She pulls away the silk covering, and Marcus's breath catches. But it's not the painting that steals his words, it's the way Vivian watches him react, as if his response is the most important review she's ever received. The game, he realizes, has truly begun. The painting is a revelation, a nude study in silver and shadow, all flowing lines and barely contain passion. But Marcus can't focus on the artwork because Vivian is standing so close now that he can feel the whisper of her breath against his neck. It's magnificent. He manages, his voice rougher than intended. "She was my mentor's model," Vivian says, her fingers ghosting near the canvas without quite touching. "Marguerite. She taught me that seduction isn't about youth, it's about knowing exactly what you want and having the courage to claim it. Marcus swallows hard. Every word feels like a caress, every pause pregnant with possibility. "And what do you want, Vivian?" She moves behind him, close enough that he catches the warmth radiating from her skin. "Right now, I want to see if you're truly ready to learn what I have to teach." Her hand comes to rest on his shoulder, light as a feather but burning like a brand. He's dated models, actresses, socialites half her age, but none of them have ever made him feel this alive, this desperate with what? "Turn around," she whispers. He does, slowly, and finds her watching him with those calculating green eyes that seem to catalog his every response. The space between them could be measured in heartbeats. "You've been patient with me," she says, reaching up to straighten his tie with deliberate slowness. 3 months of gallery openings, private viewings, intimate dinners, never pushing, always the perfect gentleman. Her fingers linger at his throat, and he has to fight not to lean into the touch. "I was following your lead, were you?" A smile curves her lips. "Or were you learning to hunt the way I hunt?" Slowly, carefully, savoring every moment before the capture. The admission hits him like a physical blow. She's right, without realizing it. He's been adopting her methods, her patience, her predatory grace. She's been teaching him seduction as surely as she's been teaching him art. "You're turning me into you," he breathes. "No." Her thumb traces the edge of his collar, and his pulse jumps. "I'm helping you become who you were always meant to be. Someone who understands that the best things in life require cultivation, patience, strategy." She steps back, leaving him aching for her touch, and moves to pour herself wine from a crystal decanter. Her movements are liquid, hypnotic. "My friends are having a dinner party this Saturday," she says, as if they weren't just sharing the most charged moment of his life. Old money families, art collectors, people who shape cultural conversations in this city. She sips her wine, watching him over the rim. "I'd like you to come, as my guest." The invitation feels significant, weighted with meaning he can't quite grasp. "Your friends," he repeats slowly. "My circle," she confirms. "People like Eleanor Whitmore." Her grandfather founded the Metropolitan Museum's modern wing. James and Patricia Vanderbilt. They own the largest private collection of Impressionist works outside of France. Her eyes glitter with something that might be mischief. They're very selective about who they allow into their world. Marcus feels a thrill of anticipation mixed with unease. He's conquered business meetings with Fortune 500 CEOs, but this feels like stepping into entirely different territory. "And you think I'm ready for that?" Vivian sets down her wine and approaches him again, close enough that he could count her eyelashes if he dared look that long. "I think," she says, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper, "that you're exactly what they're looking for." Something in her tone makes his skin prickle with awareness. Not danger, exactly, but recognition that he's walking into something bigger than a simple dinner party. Which is, her hand comes up to cup his cheek, thumb brushing across his lips with maddening lightness. Someone young, successful, and sophisticated enough to hold their attention. Someone who appreciates beauty in all its forms. Her touch becomes more deliberate, more possessive. Someone who knows how to be the perfect complement to a woman. Of discerning taste, the pieces click together slowly, like a puzzle he didn't realize he was solving. The months of careful cultivation, the lessons in art and culture, the way she shaped his preferences and refined his instincts. Even this moment, this carefully orchestrated seduction in front of a painting about desire and capture. "You're preparing me for something," he says, though it's not quite a question. Her smile is enigmatic, revealing nothing and everything. "I'm preparing you for everything, darling. The question is, are you brave enough to let me?" Before he can answer, her lips brush against his, soft as silk, and gone before he can respond. The kiss is a promise and a threat and a question all at once. "Saturday," she whispers against his mouth. 8 o'clock. "Wear the navy suit, it brings out your eyes." Then she's moving away again, leaving him standing there breathless and wanting, knowing that everything between them has just shifted into something infinitely more complex and dangerous. The game isn't just beginning anymore. It's already several moves deep, and he's not entirely sure if he's playing or being played. Saturday evening arrives wrapped in autumn's golden embrace, and the Whitmore estate sprawls across manicured lawns like something from a Fitzgerald novel. Marcus adjusts his navy suit chosen at Vivian's instruction and feels the weight of expectation settling on his shoulders like expensive cologne. Vivian appears at his side as if summoned by his thoughts, devastating in burgundy silk that flows over her curves like liquid sin. Nervous, she asks, though her tone suggests she already knows the answer. Should I be? Her laugh is low, intimate, meant only for him. Always, darling. It keeps you sharp. She takes his arm with practiced grace, her fingers warm against his sleeve. Remember what I taught you: listen more than you speak, ask thoughtful questions, and never let them see how much you want what they have. The dinner party unfolds like a carefully choreographed ballet. Eleanor Whitmore, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, holds court from the head of an antique table that probably cost more than Marcus's first sports car. The conversation flows from Rothko's latest exhibition to the politics of museum acquisition, and Marcus finds himself contributing with confidence he didn't know he possessed. It's only when James Vanderbilt leans forward with predatory interest that Marcus realizes he's being evaluated, not included. Vivian tells us you're quite the collector yourself, James says, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. Young blood in the market, it's refreshing. Too many of us are set in our ways. Marcus has exquisite taste, Vivian interjects smoothly, her hand finding his thigh under the table. The touch is light, possessive, sending heat racing through his veins, and the wisdom to learn from those who've walked the path before him. The conversation continues, but Marcus becomes increasingly aware of the undercurrents swirling around the table, the way Eleanor's gaze sharpens when she looks between him and Vivian, how Patricia Vanderbilt's compliments feel like appraisals, the manner in which every story, every shared memory, seems designed to establish hierarchies he's only beginning to understand later. As the evening winds down and guests drift toward the library for cognac, Vivian leads him onto a moonlit terrace overlooking the estate's gardens. The night air carries the scent of dying roses and something else: anticipation, perhaps, or the promise of revelations. You were perfect tonight, she says, turning to face him. The moonlight transforms her into something ethereal, timeless. Did you feel it? The way they responded to you. Marcus moves closer, drawn by the magnetic pull that's been building between them for months. They were measuring me, he says carefully. But for what? Vivian's smile is enigmatic, beautiful, and slightly sad. For me, darling. They were measuring you for me. The admission hangs between them like a bridge waiting to be crossed. Marcus reaches up to cup her face, his thumb tracing the elegant line of her cheekbone. And what's the verdict? See for yourself. She melts into his touch, and suddenly they're kissing with months of suppressed hunger finally unleashed. Her lips are soft and demanding, tasting of wine and secrets and something uniquely her. His hands tangle in her hair, and she presses against him with a soft sound that drives every rational thought from his mind. When they break apart, both breathing hard, her eyes are bright with triumph and something deeper, more vulnerable. I've been waiting for that, she whispers against his lips. Since the moment you walked into my gallery. 3 months, he breathes. You made me wait 3 months. Good things take time to ripen, she says, her hands sliding up his chest to rest against his racing heart. I had to be sure you were strong enough for what I need from you. Which is, her fingers find the knot of his tie, loosening it with practiced expertise. Partnership, Marcus, true partnership between equals, who understand the game they're playing. Something in her tone makes him pull back slightly, studying her face in the moonlight. What game? Vivian. For a moment, her mask slips entirely, and he sees raw need beneath the sophisticated exterior. Not just physical desire, but something deeper, a loneliness that money and status can't touch. A hunger for connection with someone who truly understands her world. The game of belonging, she says simply. Of creating the life you want instead of accepting what you're given. Her hands frame his face now, urgent and possessive. My friends didn't just approve of you tonight, they envied me. Do you understand what that means? What that's worth? The pieces are shifting again, forming a picture he's not sure he wants to see clearly. But before he can analyze it further, she's kissing him again, deeper this time, with a desperation that matches his own. Come home with me, she whispers against his mouth. Let me show you what we could build together. The invitation is loaded with promise and peril in equal measure. Marcus knows that if he says yes, if he crosses this threshold with her, there will be no going back to whatever simple attraction this started as. But as he looks into her, eyes green as jade, ancient as desire itself, he realizes he stopped wanting to go back weeks ago. Yes, he breathes and seals both their fates with the word. Her smile is triumphant, possessive, and heartbreakingly beautiful. The game, whatever it is, has just become deadly serious. Vivian's townhouse embraces them like a velvet glove, all warm light and shadowed corners that seem designed for secrets. She moves through the space with liquid grace, pouring amber whiskey into crystal tumblers while Marcus tries to process the magnitude of what's happening between them. To partnerships, she says, offering him a glass. Her fingers brush his as he takes it, and the simple contact sends electricity racing up his arm. To whatever this is, he counters, because he's no longer certain he understands the rules of the game they're playing. They drink in charged silence, the weight of 3 months of careful courtship finally reaching its inevitable conclusion. The whiskey burns, but not as much as the way Vivian watches him over the rim of her glass. Green eyes dark with intent. "Do you want to know a secret?" she asks, setting down her drink and moving toward him with predatory grace. "I want to know all of them." Her laugh is low, intimate, dangerous. "My friends tonight, Eleanor, James, Patricia, they've been waiting for me to choose someone for years. Every dinner party, every gallery opening, they watch to see who might finally capture the untouchable Vivian Ashford. She's close enough now that he can see the pulse beating at the base of her throat, can smell the intoxicating blend of her perfume and the whiskey on her breath. "And have I?" he asks, his voice rougher than intended. "Captured you?" Her smile is enigmatic, revealing nothing and everything. "The question, darling, is whether you want to be captured in return." Before he can process the meaning behind her words, she's reaching up to unknot his tie completely, her fingers working with deliberate slowness. The silk slides free, and she lets it fall to the Persian rug at their feet. 3 months, she murmurs, her hands moving to the buttons of his shirt. 3 months of watching you learn, grow, become exactly what I need you to be. Each button comes undone with maddening precision, her knuckles brushing his chest with each movement. His breath hitches, and he sees satisfaction flicker in her eyes. "What do you need me to be?" "Vivian." She pauses, her hands spread against his chest, feeling the rapid rhythm of his heart. For a moment, her sophisticated mask slips entirely, revealing something raw and desperate underneath. "Mine," she whispers, and the word carries the weight of possession, of claiming, of surrender. "I need you to be completely, utterly mine." The admission breaks something loose inside him. His hands come up to frame her face, and he kisses her with months of suppressed hunger finally unleashed. She responds with equal fervor, her body pressing against his as if she can't bear even the smallest distance between them. When they break apart, both breathing hard, her lips are swollen and her carefully arranged hair has begun to come undone. Upstairs, she breathes against his mouth, but he catches her wrist as she starts to pull away. "Wait." The word comes out harder than intended, stopping her in her tracks. "I need to understand something first." She turns back to him, eyebrow raised in question, but there's wariness in her expression now, as if she knows what he's going to ask. "Tonight at dinner, the way they looked at us, talked about us, it felt like..." He struggles for the right words, like they were discussing an acquisition, a merger. Vivian's face goes carefully blank, which tells him more than any expression could. "You're overthinking, Marcus." "Am I?" He moves closer, using his height advantage to study her face. 3 months of lessons in art, culture, refinement, introducing me to your circle, letting them approve of me. Even this, he gestures between them, feels choreographed. For a long moment, they stand frozen in tableau, predator and prey, though he's no longer certain who is which. "Does it matter?" she asks finally, her voice softer now, more vulnerable. "Does it matter how we got here if this is where we both want to be?" The question hits him like a physical blow, because he recognizes the truth in it. Regardless of her motives, regardless of whatever long game she's been playing, the connection between them is real. The desire is real. The way she makes him feel sophisticated, powerful, Worthy of a woman like her that's real too. Tell me the truth, he says, his hands finding her waist, pulling her against him. All of it. She looks up at him for a long moment, something shifting in her expression. When she speaks, her voice carries a honesty that cuts through all their careful pretense. You want to know what you are to me, Marcus. You're my answer. My solution to the problem of growing older in a world that worships youth. You're brilliant, successful, devastatingly handsome, and young enough to make every woman in my circle insane with jealousy. Her hands slide up his chest to rest against his shoulders. But you're also sophisticated enough, refined enough, to be worthy of me. To be my equal, not my accessory. The truth settles between them. Raw and complicated, and somehow more arousing than any pretty lie could be. Your trophy husband, he says quietly, and sees her flinch at the stark assessment. My partner, she corrects fiercely. My lover, my compliment. Her voice drops to barely above a whisper. My obsession. The last word hangs in the air between them, loaded with implications that make his pulse race. Whatever game she's been playing, she's not immune to its effects. She wants him just as desperately as he wants her. Show me, he says roughly, and claims her mouth again with possession that matches her own. This time, when she leads him upstairs, he follows with full knowledge of what he's agreeing to. Not just one night, but whatever complex future she's been orchestrating for them both. The game has become something else entirely, something real, dangerous, and utterly addictive. Something he no longer wants to escape. Dawn breaks silver and gold through the silk curtains of Vivian's bedroom, painting patterns across their intertwined bodies. Marcus watches her sleep, studying the elegant line of her spine, the way her dark hair fans across the pillow like spilled ink. Even in unconsciousness, she radiates power, grace, the quiet confidence of a woman who's orchestrated her entire life exactly as she wanted it. She stirs, emerald eyes opening to find him watching her with an intensity that makes her smile. Good morning, darling, she purrs, stretching like a cat before curling into his warmth. Any regrets? Only that we waited so long. Her laugh is rich, satisfied. The sound of a woman who's gotten exactly what she wanted. Patience is a virtue. Marcus, especially in acquisition. There's that word again, acquisition. But this morning, it doesn't sting the way it did last night. This morning, he understands that they've acquired each other, claimed each other with equal hunger and strategy. So what happens now? He asks, pressing a kiss to her temple. Do we make the announcement to your friends? Set a wedding date, Vivian. Pulls back to study his face, something unreadable flickering in her expression. You're assuming I want to marry you. The words hit like ice water, and he feels his entire body go still. Vivian, oh, darling. Her hand comes up to cup his. Chic, thumb tracing his lips with familiar possession. Of course I want to marry you. I've wanted to marry you since the first night you walked into my gallery and looked at my Rothko. Like you were seeing color for the first time, relief floods through him, followed immediately by arousal at the possessive note in her voice. Then, why? Because I needed to be sure you understood what you were agreeing to. She sits up, the sheet falling away from her body with careless grace. Marriage to me isn't just love and passion, Marcus. It's joining something bigger than both of us. My world, my circle, my life, it's all one entity, and you'll be part of it. He reaches for her, pulling her back down into his arms where she belongs. Is that supposed to scare me? It should excite you. Her lips find the pulse point at his throat, and he feels her smile against his skin. Eleanor called this morning while you were sleeping. The entire circle is buzzing about you. About us. James has already invited you to join his private investment group. Patricia wants to include you in her next charity gala planning committee. Marcus tangles his fingers in her hair, tilting her head back so he can see her eyes. And what do you want? Everything, she says without hesitation. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to walk into every gallery opening, every dinner party, every cultural event in this city with you on my arm. I want them all to see what I found, what I've claimed, what's mine. The possessive fire in her voice sends heat racing through his veins. Yours, he agrees roughly. But that makes you mine too. Her smile is triumphant, wicked, beautiful, completely and utterly. He kisses her then, deep and claiming, tasting. victory and desire, and the promise of a future more complex and satisfying than anything he could have imagined. When they break apart, both breathing hard, she reaches for something on her bedside table. "I have something for you," she says, producing a small velvet box that makes his pulse skip. "Vivian, it belonged to my grandfather," she continues, opening the box to reveal a platinum signet ring set with a dark emerald. "He gave it to my grandmother when she agreed to marry him, and she gave it to me before she died." Her eyes meet his, serious now, vulnerable. It's not an engagement ring exactly, more like a symbol of partnership, of belonging to something ancient and powerful and enduring. Marcus takes the ring, feeling the weight of history in the precious metal. The emerald catches the morning light, glowing like captured fire. "When I put this on," he says carefully, "what am I becoming?" "Mine," she repeats, but her voice carries deeper meaning now. "Part of my legacy, part of something that will outlast both of us." He slides the ring onto his finger, and it fits perfectly. Of course it does. She's planned this moment as carefully as she's planned everything else. "Your friends won't see it as a trophy marriage anymore," he realizes, understanding dawning. "They'll see it as a merger of equals, a strategic alliance that strengthens both parties." Her smile is radiant, proud, absolutely devastating. "Now you're learning to think like me, like us." "Us," he repeats, testing the word. It tastes like victory and surrender in equal measure. She moves to straddle him, hands braced against his chest, hair falling around them like a dark curtain. "Marcus Blackwood Ashford has a nice ring to it, don't you think?" The hyphenated name shouldn't thrill him the way it does, but he's beyond pretending he doesn't want this all of it. Her world, her circle, her sophisticated games and passionate intensity. "Mrs. Blackwood Ashford," he murmurs, rolling them over so she's beneath him, pinned by his weight and his desire. "I like the sound of that too." Her laugh is pure joy, pure triumph, pure love. "Then make it official, darling. Ask me properly." He doesn't need another invitation. "Vivian Ashford," he says, voice rough with emotion and arousal and the magnitude of what he's about to commit to. "Will you marry me? Will you let me be your partner, your equal, your lover for the rest of our lives?" "Yes," she breathes, pulling him down for a kiss that tastes like promises and possession, and the beginning of something magnificent. Yes to everything. Outside, the city awakens to another day, but here in this bed, in this moment, they're creating something that will reshape both their worlds. A partnership built on desire and strategy, love and ambition. The perfect fusion of two people who understand that the best conquests are the ones where both sides choose to surrender. The Silver Temptress has claimed her prize and found herself claimed in return. The game is over. The real adventure has just begun.